If you like making money while you sleep, while you eat, while you're on vacation, weekdays, weekends, any time of the year, then this video is for you. This is all about passive income. Passive income is exactly what it sounds like. It's money that you earn when you're not actively working. And so in that sense, it's the best kind of income. Now, I see a lot of financial people talking about how many different ways there are to make passive income. You know, you can write an ebook, you can buy an annuity, you can make an online course, all this stuff. Well, most of those suck, okay? Nobody's gonna buy an ebook from some random stranger. That's why I've made this video, to boil down the 3 legitimate main sources of passive income that you can get, that anybody can get, and that way you can eliminate all the noise and all the distractions of all the other different ways that people are trying to make money online and all this stuff that doesn't work. These are the 3 main things that you should be focusing on, and I'm going to rank them 3 to 1 based on 3 factors: return percentage, passiveness, and sustainability. Before we get started with number 3, take a moment, go down and subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss any future videos, and you can learn how to grow your money and take care of yourself financially. Okay, let's get going. The 3rd best type of passive income is dividends. Dividends come from when you own a portion of a company and that company chooses to pay part of their earnings to you based on your ownership share. In most cases, this comes in the form of dividend-paying stocks that you buy on any stock exchange. And most of these dividend-paying stocks will pay you anywhere from about 2 to 6% annually in cash. So in the case of dividends, return percentage is going to be low, in my opinion, because like I said, most of these payments are going to be anywhere from 2 to 6% in cash. That may sound good, but you also have to buy the actual stock and hold the stock. And a lot of these stocks that pay dividends are already past the growth phase and they're in the very mature phase of their company. That's why they pay out dividends, because they have so much cash flow coming in and they don't really have any additional opportunities to use that money to grow. And so they kind of give you that money because they're basically saying, you know what to do with it better than we do. We don't have any more opportunities to invest this money elsewhere and get a higher return percentage on our actual stock price. So with dividends, where you have to buy and hold the stock, that stock is going to be going up and down in stock price. Now they're going to be paying you dividends regardless, but when these companies are very mature, the stock price is not going to go up very much, if at all. In fact, a lot of these companies have fallen out of favor with the public. The stock price may actually go down. So even though you buy, let's say $1,000 of this dividend paying stock, and let's say it's paying you $40 a year in dividends, at the end of that year, your $1,000 could now be $950 or $900. So you're running that risk of actually losing more because of the volatility of the underlying stock. So again, that's why I ranked return percentage as low. You're running that risk with the actual stock price going down on top of your fairly low cash payments in dividends. I rank the passiveness of dividends as very high because it takes almost no effort to buy a dividend stock and to sit there and hold it. You just put it in your brokerage account, you click buy, you can leave it there pretty much forever. It requires little to no maintenance whatsoever. Maybe just a little research on the front end and checking in on the earnings calls and things like that. But beyond that, very little maintenance. And then I rank the sustainability of dividends as medium, because even though most companies pay dividends for a very, very long time and rarely cut dividends, in some cases a company can choose to cut its dividend or eliminate the dividend completely. So if a company pays a 5% dividend, but their share price gets cut in half, now they're paying a 10% dividend, and they're not going to want to do that because they're going to be paying out pretty much all of their earnings, or at least most of their earnings, to the shareholders, and they're not going to have any left to run their business. So the company is more than likely going to cut its dividend, and that's going to likely make the share price fall even more. So that's why I rank sustainability as medium instead of high for dividends, just because of that risk of the dividend being cut. Overall, I rank dividends as number 3, just because there's a lack of upside. The return percentage is very low, and then you have the risk of volatility of buying and holding the stock. My second ranked form of passive income is rental income. And rental income comes from when you own an asset that you rent out to someone else. So in most cases, this is houses, buildings, pretty much something within real estate. But it can also be other things too, like maybe you rent out your car, or you rent out a piece of equipment, something that other people want to use, but they don't necessarily want to shell out the money to buy it themselves. So the classic example of rental income is you buy a house and you let someone else live in it, and in return they pay you monthly payments. So I rank the return percentage of rental income as medium, because in a lot of cases you're going to be getting, if you think of it like dividends, maybe 10 to 15% of the value of your asset per year in cash payment. So if you own a $200,000 house that you rent out, you can expect to receive roughly $15,000 to $25,000 a year in gross rental income. Now obviously it depends on the situation and the type of asset that you're owning, but in most cases it's going to be somewhere in that range. Now passiveness I ranked low, because in most cases, like I said, rental income requires you to own a physical asset like a house, and that house requires maintenance and insurance and all kinds of other things to keep that house up to shape where people can still live in it. Also, you have to deal with the people that are living in it. You have to sometimes deal with banks, maybe insurance companies, and inspectors, construction people. So there's a lot of different things that you have to deal with. It's not just kick your feet up and relax and watch the money roll in when you're dealing with rental income. You have to maintain that asset that you're renting out in order to keep up the quality so that people will continue to want to rent it. And then I rank sustainability of rental income as medium, because in most cases it's a large asset like a house or a building that is going to be really hard to sell. Trends in real estate can change fairly quickly, and sometimes you can get stuck with a house or a property that isn't as good as it was 5 years ago, simply because maybe the neighborhood has changed or maybe people's tastes have changed. A good example of this would be shopping malls, where the internet came up so fast and e-commerce emerged so quickly. It was really hard to sell or get out from under a $10 million, $50 million mall that you might have purchased that you were renting out to stores. So that's one example, and that's a reason why I rank sustainability as medium instead of high, just because those trends can change and it can be hard to sell a large asset like a building. So overall I rank rental income number 2 on this list. It's higher than dividends because there's more return percentage potential. The asset that you own usually appreciates in value slowly, so there's not a humongous risk like there is with owning dividend stocks of the price of the actual asset going down. But it's not ranked number 1 because the return percentage is not extremely high, and also it requires a pretty high initial upfront investment when you're buying a house, a building, a piece of equipment, something like that you want to rent out. And like I mentioned earlier, you have to deal with a lot of maintenance with that asset as well. Finally, the best type of passive income is, drum roll please, royalty income. Royalty income usually comes from a creative work that you've done in the past, and sometimes that work can be licensed, and so it's your intellectual property and other people have to pay you in order to use it. This can be from music you produced, a TV show, a movie, a book you've written, some sort of creative work like that, where other people have to pay you for the right to use it, or sell it, or whatever. So that's why royalty income is the holy grail of income, because you create something one time and it can potentially pay you for years into the future. So I'll give you a famous example of royalty income. So I'm a big fan of the show Friends, and I read where Warner Brothers still makes over $1 billion a year from that show. And each of the 6 star actors, Jennifer Aniston, David Schwimmer, etc., still get paid 2% of that, or roughly $20 million a year, from a show that they made 20 years ago. Oh, another royalty check for Rachel Green. Oh. Could this royalty check be any higher? So from that example and my poor impressions, you can see why I ranked royalty income number 1, because basically you do something one time, some sort of creative work, and then it can pay you forever. As far as the categories, I ranked return percentage of royalty income as high, because you can make tons and tons and tons of money for long into the future from a fairly small investment up front. And I ranked passiveness high as well, because once you make the work, there's basically no maintenance that you have to do. Checks just come in the mail based on people using your creation. Because if you create something of real quality, then people are going to want to use it for a long time, and you're most likely going to have a contract that says that people have to pay you every time somebody uses it or sells it. So royalty income is the holy grail of income that you can have, but the cons are that it's really hard to get. So in my opinion, you need to be in the top 1% of whatever you're doing in order to earn any sort of substantial royalty income. So if you're an actor, then you better be in the top 1% of actors before you expect to make any kind of royalty income on movies or commercials or TV shows that you do, simply because there's so many actors and there's so many TV shows and movies being made. You want yours to be used many times in the future, that way people have to pay you. So it can be a really tough income source to actually get, because it requires a lot of creativity and a lot of differentiation. Dividends and rental income, pretty much anybody can get those based on money alone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I was able to dispel some of the myths about passive income to help you make more money while you sleep and while you're not working, so you can be better off financially. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this every week, and leave a comment below if you have one of these types of income sources, and I'll see you in the next video.